Alrighty. Doc here on the Day of Atonement. And it is the markets. They're atoning for their selling. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What fun adventure as usual. Let's see, what are we looking at here? Let me also tune in to see if we have anybody asking any questions. All right, right there. And we're loading. We're loading. There we are. We're live. Excelente. It's a Monday, so everybody's moving kind of slow, not jumping on too much at the moment. Everybody's just kind of like, kicking back. Now, look at the movement in the diamonds there today. That's the Dow Jones Industrial Average. What a rocket shot that's doing, huh? Wow. We'll jump over to this euro in a few seconds. I just need to save a couple of these charts. But I saw the euro is definitely up into its buy also. A lot of these things are starting to cook here. It was interesting. The Asian hours markets were firm, and the European hours they were rocking it. I mean, they just took off and didn't look back. They haven't challenged any lows or anything like that. We'll go take a look at all this in a few seconds. I just need to save a couple more charts, and then 3 more charts. There's the Qs. This is the Nasdaq 100 on Dukascopy. That is called the Tech 100. Which is obviously way better description than the Nasdaq 100 at this point. Since a third of these stocks seem to be, or not the stocks themselves, but the top tier of these stocks are now in the Dow Industrial Average at the same time. So emphasizing Nasdaq anymore doesn't seem to be what it used to be. It's not the same game. And you can hear there's the S&P 500. You can see the spike in our histogram on that one. That is also ripping up and taking off. And let's see, let's save that and say that, and then let's see, that's the SPY right there. And then what do we do? The last one right there, this Workhorse. What an interesting name. I think it has something to do with I don't know, my son worked for something. They were a data storage operation of some form, and I could have sworn it was called Workhorse or something Steel, or I don't know, something like that. So it's kind of interesting to see this. We have a subscriber that's interested in this. So that's action ACT too at the same time. We've got a lot of interesting things going on there. All right, now we can dive back. Let's open up the you can see, what is that? That is the that's the Nasdaq 100. Yeah, and I'm sorry, no, it's not. This is the S&P 500 trading in the 330 340 area. Whoa. Right to the moon it's going. And let's open up the Duke Day Week Forex. We've got, as you can see on the screen here, we've got there's the J4X, and let's shoot over to the euro. Euro on the wall. Who's the fairest currency of them all? And here you can see loading it in. It's showing some life into it again, which is awful nice. It's nice to see the euro get a little life in it. See, it's bouncing there on J4X. See how the white line is trying to come up and meet the dotted line, which I call the three-dimensional zero line. And you can see here we've got a green dot helping with a volatility red combined together. We've got this moving through the histogram here, and the only difference is that it's 2 weeks in a sell now, and it's you can see the white line is diving down. And let's just contract that a little bit more like that. There we are. You can see it's just diving down. So just like in J4X, when you look at this and you go, well, it's trying. Doc says this is a signal when it's going up. The white line makes it through the dotted line, and you can see the purple line trying to break through it already. You can see the hinky ASCII is all red. Obviously, in our work, we have our little green dot there. Oh, you can't see that now. We have a little green dot right there, just pushing along, and this thing's through the zero line. So we're seeing some strength there. So we'll just keep on watching and seeing how it slowly tries to get its game together. All right, now who's next? Okay, we just have to send this now. We're just sending over charts at the same time to the Chicago Quant people as we do this at the same time. So that's pretty cool. We can do that, and we can look at it, and if anybody has a question, we'll jump in, and if not, Doc will go through his rhythm of looking at all the products that we look at in a slow, consistent way, and be just what's this? This is Confession Monday. That's what this is. Confession Monday. So zoom and off we go. There goes that one. And there we are. Now you can see here, as I said, with the euro lifting up. Now let's take a look at the cable and see what the cable's doing here. Cable's also showing a lot of strength. You can see, ooh, there you go. That looks nice right there. Doesn't matter how big that is. That's still pretty cool that it's doing it. And you see here we're at 128.86 and it's loading up. And oh yes, look at that. Even a green. We got a green bar now too. And at the same time, you can see the purple line through it and the white lines through it. The dotted line here, the three-dimensional zero line. And let's see, let's put it up over on the J4X. It is on the J4X. Let's look at it in the Chicago Quant. You can see that. It tried to go into the buy there on Friday with a red and a green. And because the white line is through the zero line here, starting off the bar, be it last night or this morning, it puts it into a buy. That puts it right into a buy. And we have, instead of normally what we usually do is we do stuff like, you see, we put it up here. But no, we consider that a buy because when it's a red and a green and this was a plus and then this is a green and this is a plus, we just automatically start off at the opening half hour of this bar, not the close of the bar for that one. That's part of our rules. Hey, Middle Age, how you doing? Hi, could you look at DEC wheat? Sure, I was looking at it and to get it long, but the weekly quant is getting close to the zero line. Line has been me concerned. Yes, let's look at that. We can dissect at it too, you know, kind of analyze it together. I like that. Let's see. Going to wheat. Wheat it is. There we go. Everybody likes bread and everybody likes cakes and so forth, and wheat is made out of that. A lot of it is, that's for sure. And there's the feeders. Let's go to the wheat. And there's DEC wheat. Yep. Yeah, you can see here we have this going on at the moment. You can see that on Friday we had that same situation, the volatility signal of 2 dots on a bar. And so as this bar, oh no, that was Thursday. I'm sorry, it was Thursday. And we're having it on Friday. We had that too. Now this is coming down and making a test like it did here. If we can get into this buy here today, we get this opening, just literally opening at the Chicago hours of, I guess it's like 8 o'clock Chicago time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I think that's when they open the wheat, or is it 10 o'clock? Whatever they consider the opening on the Chicago Board of Trades, floor, that's, if it opens up and with this white line piercing through, it's telling us that, you know, it wants to go. And because we had 2 back-to-backs, and this is above the zero line and this is above the zero line, let's widen that out. That's how you read that. See how this on Thursday it was above it, on Friday it's above it. Okay, it's saying yeah, you can buy it. Now, due to the fact that we did survive the weekly buy, you know, we have to follow our rules, and the math says basically that the odds are 8.5 out of 10 that it will go up in value. So we'll see. Now we can go back and look at some of the other doubles. There's a double right here. We'll do that just to get a flavor of it. Here's another double. Had the same characteristic, and that concern that you're talking about showed up 2 days later, like there, or 3 days later, I guess you could say. So it did this for 2 days, like it's doing it here, and then this day it exploded up, and then the following day it gave us a sell. And it was in a weekly buy, so we had some weakness, and it lasted all the way up to, where did it went into a buy for, we did the double dot again, and for some reason the line is there, and I guess it really should be over there. So that was the buy right there, and then the following day it rolled over again, and again the weekly was in the plus, so you can't go short, but you know you don't want to be long. And you can see what happened. It fell from the 545 area down to the 5 even, so it took out 45 cents. And as long as if this white line on the weekly here had been down below during the week, you could have tried to play it a little bit more. Now, if you're trading options and you're up in here, and let's say you're a producer, let's say you grow wheat, okay, and you're trying to hedge it, you can go out there and buy a put spread in the options on the situation with no problem. But to actually short the hard delta or your crop, in the futures market is a little more risque. I wouldn't recommend that at all. I don't see that as a to match the math here. But an option, you know what your limited risk is, and if the thing rolls over and you sell, I don't know, a tenth or a quarter of your crop, in a sense by buying a put spread, in this case here over a 7-day or 8-day period, you made 45 cents on wheat on a quarter of your crop, which is pretty cool, But again, trading the options and following these dailies is a lot easier than trading the futures and following them. That's why we always say, if it's in a weekly buy and we're in a daily buy, yeah, sure, be long. If you're in a, vice versa, like there, it said, okay, be long. And then you can see it failed. Okay, right there. Threw us into a sell. You don't know if it's going to just do something like that again, shallow, or in this case here, it fell apart for 45 cents. But if you buy a put spread, you know what your risk is, and you can, since you're a producer, if you are a producer, you can go and sell a call spread way up to pay for the put spread and have it as a free trade. And the worst case scenario is you make money. That's not a bad worst case scenario, is you make money on your crop. And so that's the way to play that there. If you're not a producer, you could just buy the put spread and take the risk, get a put spread with some time in it, like 4 or 5 weeks. So worst case scenario is you sell it out a little bit and take a little loss, or in this case here, you made 45 cents out of it, whatever the delta was to it. And so, that's the way we follow that. I hope that helped out there, Middle Age Muscle. Did that make sense to you at all? And if anything that did not, let's go over that. It's important for you to understand what you're looking at here when it comes to our analysis, our financial analysis newsletter / whatever you want to call these things. I'm not sure what you call us in the 21st century. A blog? I'm not sure. Market technician? It's so hard to say what to describe us as. But yes, take a look at that Middle Age. Tell me if that makes sense to you, and if it doesn't, then we can go over any particular part that didn't make any sense. Okay. So now, let's see. Let's do this. Let me send this to Robin now. We'll do that while we're waiting a few seconds there to see what Middle Age has to say about it all. And what else can I say about it? I guess that's all I can say at the moment, really, about that. And that's what the difference is between trading the options and trading a hard delta, and being a producer versus a speculator. As a producer, very easy to hedge yourself. You just need the knowledge, as a producer. Because remember, if you're a producer and you got this out in the field, you're long wheat, right? I mean, right now that makes you long wheat. And so now what's your objective? To sell it at the highest price you can, right? And how do you do that? By growing it, hoping that you get the production you were looking for, and at the same time, using options to hedge your future risk, because you're long it. No matter how you look at it, 20 different ways, you're long it. And if you sell the future, now you're not long it anymore. But if you buy an option, you're still long it. And that's the difference. Hedging with the futures contract, the moment you sell the futures contract, in a sense, you've sold your crop. But if you're buying an option, now you're still long it, and at the same time, you're hedged. Totally different game there. I know they use the word hedge in both of those, but they're not identical, because one is still allowing you to benefit for future higher prices, and that is the option side of it. And that's just the name of the game there. Oh yes, there you go. No problem. No problem at all. I've been pushing this idea for like 30 years. I tried to get the mortgage market to pay attention to it. If they had, we probably wouldn't have had a bank collapse back in '08. I tried it back in the 90s to try to wake people up to the pipeline, hedging the pipeline. Same situation as someone being long, a crop in a field. If you have, you're going to produce X amount of mortgages, but they're generic at the moment, and you're trying to lock in that money, you can look at it the same identical way. They used to call it the pipeline, the mortgage pipeline where they're doing mortgages. And so it's definitely it's a concept that should be adhered to, but a lot of people run away from the options market, and they don't realize that what they're doing is their hedge is different than a futures hedge, and it's a lot more productive a hedge. So, all right, where do we go from here? I guess we go take a look at Turkish Lira. Oh, I'm having a trouble verifying Dukascopy. It says repaid cards not allowed. Can someone send 25E to activate my account? I can pay back more. Let's see. I'll get Janos or someone to tune in. Let me do that. Let me say that on the internal chat. Let's see. Where can we go there? Here. Oop, that didn't work. Oop, now it's working. There we are. I'll mention it to Nicole and let her help you out. Let's see. In my webinar has a Dukascopy question. Can someone tune in and see? There we are. There we go. All right, I've passed it along to Dukascopy, and we'll see where it goes there from there. Imish. Okay? There we go. All right. See, now what we'll do is we'll jump over to Turkish Lira. See what the Turkish Lira looks like this morning. I think it went into a daily sell. We look on the spreadsheet. That's line 17. So we're 43 weeks now in a weekly buy and 1 day in a daily sell. Woohoo. Woohoo. All right, there you go. Oh, well, that didn't last long, did it? Look at that. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What 43 full weeks in a weekly buy. I think we're going to 52 like in a deck of cards. And then there's the high today. The high is a new all-time high again, 7.890. Is it 01, I guess that would be maybe? Or 095, which would be 01, I guess, rounding it out, smoothing it out. And so they're going back into the buy. I guess we should take one of these little red lines. We'll do this. We'll steal this one and put it there. So it did go into the sell there on Friday. Couldn't take the sell, of course. And the options are just impossible to trade. So in this case here, it's a tough tootsies situation. And then look at it this morning. Zip. Right up. Turkish Lira is doing the rock and roll. Oh, thank you, Janos. How you doing? There you go. Thank you, Janos, and good morning to you. Good. What am I calling today? I call today. I have a name for it. Monday Confession. It's Monday Confession Day. That's what it is. Monday Confession. The ending of the Jewish New Year's. They'll blow that shofar's horn, and everybody will be cleansed for a tenth of a second, and then boom, right back into trouble again. All right, let's jump over. Wow, I'm still stunned by the Turkish Lira. My God, look at that push up. Let's take a look at it on J4X. I mean, it's like zip, zam, and zowie. That punch. I keep on thinking it wants to run to the eights. It's like, oh my God, wait a minute. It is. It's in the eights. No, wait a minute. What am I looking at? Oh, that's Euro Turkish Lira. Okay, let's go to dollar Turkish Lira. I was going to say it's in the nines. Oh my God, what am I missing? Let's see. There it is. Dollar Turkish Lira, 783 at the moment. And it has run as high as almost 790. It's fighting to get to that 9 handle. So, I think if Janos says that's the way it works, that's the way it works. Janos is very precise and very organized. So chances are, if he says that's the way it works, then it's better than my mathematical odds. I can guarantee you it's even higher. If Yano says that's the way it works, more than likely that's the way it works. So good luck there. All right. What else we got going on here? Turkish Lira through roof, heading for the 8 handle. Let's take a look at the Swiss. Oh, wait a minute. Usually we do Canadian because Canadian and Turkish Lira seem to have a tendency to rhythm in the same direction. See it here. It's doing that strength thing there on the Canadian dollar against the American dollar. So let's see. Let's go over to that on the J4X. Right there. And you can see a little strength there. 133.86. You know, nothing exciting, but up 300 pips. Since it's gone into a buy down in here on the bottom, it had a nice run for about 150 pips. And almost 200 pips. More than 200 pips to be exact. And then it went into a sell and then right back into the buy again after just one whole day. And you can see this thing is driving again up another 175 pips from that. So it's been like a 375 pip with these daily buys. When it comes to the weekly, it closed in the weekly last week. So let's put that in there too, like so. There is the weekly. There we go. I wonder, let me go check the other one that I send out for Chicago Quant. And that makes me curious. Let me open that up. I just want to see what I have on that. Let's see. Right here. Let's take a look at the Canadian. There it is right there. Okay. Oop. Yeah, I got it in there from yesterday. Good. Wanted to make sure I had that little green line in there because we sent that out to some of the people, and I don't want to be wrong. So, all right. Now, let's send this. I got this to send, and that is Canadian. So, yeah, I guess, you know, I'm not sure what's going on with the Canadian. I don't know if there's anything particular going on. It just seems to always have that rhythm with the Turkish Lira, which is very curious. I guess since they're both against the dollar, maybe it's that. You know, I mean, that's the only way I can try to figure that one out is, you know, they're both traded against the dollar. That's what we're looking at. So maybe that's why the Turkish Lira and the Canadian move in the same direction a lot of the times. It's unique. Let's put it that way. Definitely unique. So let's see what any other saying here. Ask someone here and then in the other streams. Let's see. Telegram, Builder. Excellent. I'm glad you guys can have a meeting of the minds there and get things moving along. So now, let's see. What is the next one we got going on here? Let's see. Doc is now looking at... Just make sure that's right. Is that right? I guess so. All right. Let's jump over to the Swiss. What's that? Yeah, it is. The Swiss franc. Now, the Swiss franc, again, we find the Swiss franc to be a really, really good product to, you know, play as an alternative, you know, to the dollar. I think they're very precise against each other. They're probably two of the more safest zones to run to, I guess it is. So the Swiss or the American markets, they run to either of them. And boy, I'll tell you, has the Swiss National Bank done a great job at, you know, being invested in the 21st century? Hell yeah. They obviously have it in the genes. They know how to be invested correctly. You know, I bet there's, man, there must be centuries of just all kinds of great concepts and ideas when it comes to the Swiss and their banking. I know they're being pulled and kicked into the politically correct 21st century, but, you know, they doubled up at the bottom. You know, the National Swiss Bank, you know, their Federal Reserve, they doubled up at the bottom. They bought like I don't know, it was like $28 billion more in the top tiered companies. Wow. I mean, just there's no other word but wow. That's the way I look at it. It's wow. I mean, what a class act, honestly. What a class act. I did that wrong, didn't I? So that's 14. So if I got two 14s, I got a 15. All right, so now what do I do? Okay, go with this. So that one is that. Okay, we'll go with that one then. There we are. And so we look at the Swiss and we just, you know, we know that when we see the pairs trade, it does what it's supposed to do, which is really cool. So, you know, I don't know if there's any other better way of describing it in the sense of it does the right. In other words, it goes up when the dollar goes down. It goes, you know, it's a great product there. A lot of times we like to look at pairs trades more like a three-legged tool. In other words, you know, if you're buying euros and you're selling dollars, a lot of times both of them seem to be in a different lockstep. It's almost like it's a three-legged stool instead of a pair. I mean, people, I guess you kind of forget what, you know, what the pair means. It means like, you know, just one against another. But when you're really watching the Swiss franc, you know, the Swiss saltine against the dollar, those two march so well lockstep wise. You know, you just know that they're not stepping out of the program. They're not buying gold, or they're not buying silver, or, you know, as a substitute to the dollar. It looks like it's a pure pairs trade that goes on, which is, like I said, I think it's extraordinary. A lot of times we look at pairs trades and it's like, wait a minute, why are they moving that way? They're almost like they're moving in the same rhythm. It's like, what? One's supposed to be going down, one's supposed to be going up. They're a pairs trade. But what happens is that it doesn't seem to work that way when it comes to the Swiss franc against the dollar. They just seem to, they just seem to have it figured out really, really well. Let's see, so there's copper, there's crude, there's robo, there's, that's what's missing, natural gas. Let's give them natural gas as I fill in the spreadsheet for, or the emails for the Robin. All right, so send away. There we go. And let me do this too. Let me close this one out. I don't need that on. Close. I just wanted to make sure Canadian had the, there it is right there. Let's get rid of that one too. Just wanted to make sure the Canadian had its little weekly buy thing there. There we go. Now, where do we go from here? We go to there. Let's go over to the, there we looked at the Swiss, which we were just looking at right there. You can see, do we have it on there? Yep, there's a saltine and so forth. You can see this thing, you know, still firm. There's the weekly, 2 weeks back now. This is the second week there. We're playing now with the third week on the upside. And it's been a nice buy there. Like I said, it moves really nice against the dollar. You know, it really does. And so because it does that, you know, I mean, it's the purest of play, I would say. I guess that's the best way to look at it, is like the purest of a pairs trade. Because like I said, we've seen pairs trades. They just don't always match up the way you would think they're supposed to match up. And that always has me, like I said, a little confused. And so we've interpreted that as some pairs trades get, what happens is that they don't always sell the currencies the same way. And they do like a VWAP, or for those that are comfortable with hedge fund hedging, they do a VWAP. And what that means is they look at the dollar value and then the size. And it's like the old-fashioned sell General Motors, buy Ford, in a VWAP, equal dollar amount. So if one stock is trading at $10 and one stock is trading at $30, that would mean you would do 3 shares of the $10 one to equal 1 share of the $30 one, and that's the VWAP. And so I know it's a wacko name. It sounds like a rock group of some form, or, you know, some 1950s music group. But that's the VWAP. And so what we've kind of identified over the last couple of years watching the pairs trade is that it seems like someone's doing a VWAP against it, just the way they do it in hedging stocks or hedging bonds. You know, a lot of times a lot of corporate bonds come out and they have a call option on their common stock. And so that you can see the VWAP get played into. You know, that, you know, in other words, if you're adding 2 objects up, like I said, a $10 stock 3 times to a $30 stock, and that's the VWAP. And so you look at that and you go, wait a minute, something's wrong here. It doesn't look exactly the way it normally does. And that's because they're doing a VWAP and they're not doing the full. So in other words, they may be buying in the $10 to $30 stock VWAP conversation. What they may be doing is buying 2.7, or let's put it this way, they're selling short 2.7 of the Ford. You know, that $10 stock. They're not selling all 3 shares. They're selling 2.7 shares and buying 1 share of the other stock. And then what they're doing is they're compensating that 0.3 that's missing with something else. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Odd? Crazy? You know, does anybody really describe the VWAP? This is what hedge funds do all day long. Oh my God, that's all they do. They're like caught on it like a heroin addict. Honest to God, they're always playing their VWAPs. I had a friend that was a developer of a VWAP for pairs trades for Drexel Burnham Lambert back in the 60s and going into the 70s. And so I learned from a friend, may Louis rest in peace. Louis has passed on years ago now. And so I learned how the VWAP worked for them, and then I was able to compare it to other VWAPs, and how other people did it. And so, it's like a Jack Nash or something like that, the developer of the Oppenheimer funds. Him and I worked together for a couple of years. And so, I've seen it done in different ways, the VWAP. And so that's the VWAP. I'm sure at this point our eyes are glazing over. What the hell is he talking about, the VWAP? What is a VWAP? Is that an Italian derogatory? And who knows? Maybe that's where it originated from. I forget what it stands for. It stands for something. It's called value. It's an acronym. So it's like, VWAP is VWAP. So it's like the value with average price or something like that. That type of thing. And that's how they do the VWAP. And so they just call it VWAP. So, yeah. Crazy stuff, huh? Crazy. What's Doc talking about on Confession Monday? He's talking about VWAP. Insanity at its best. All right. Where do we go from here? Let's go to... Let's see. We were just raving about the Saltine Central Bank. They are cool. All right. Let's go take a look at anybody. If anybody has anything they'd like to see, just give a yell. We'll put it up there. If not, we'll take a look at the yen. There's the yen. You see, it's popped in there, and it's trying to play with the weekly today, which is pretty cool. Always nice to see these things move along. They're moving along. And then, see, that one goes there. As I send out stuff to Robin as we speak at the same time. And let's see if anybody has any particular... Matter of fact, this one even actually has the yen going out the door for it, too. They're following the yen. So we put the yen in there, too, like that. And then the 10-year. I think we got it all there. So that's a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. Yep. Let's put the 10-year in there for them. Right there. There we go. And so that's the yen. You can see it on the spreadsheet. That's line 19. 2 weeks in a sell right there. 4 days in a buy. So it's been protecting you. Yeah, you can see the little green line there. It's been protecting you. And so it's 4th day in there. And you can see we're in a weekly sell for a couple weeks here. Look at that. Sell protected you there. Not to be long. You couldn't be short, but unless you were doing options, of course. But you couldn't be short if it was just the hard delta. So I guess some of you might say, what does he mean by the hard delta? Hey, Doc, which setting do you use on the stochastics? I try to emulate it setting on the Forex, but it looks a little different on my chart. Well, let's take a look. Let's highlight it. There's the slow stochastic. See, it's got the 5-3. And let's see if we can open it up. How do we do that? Right there. Edit indicator. There we go. And we've changed the color so you only see the one. Right there. And it is the slow, I think it's the slow D. Let me just double check. We're going to cancel this again for a second. But it's the slow D. Yeah, so you're only seeing the slow D on that. That's it. So we're watching the slow D on the dotted line, which I like to call the zero, three-dimensional zero. And then the white line is the fast stochastic, and that is also the fast D. I could have sworn one was a 9, not a 5 and a 3, but I'm not going to wrestle with it today. And so you're seeing the fast stochastic using the D there. Same combination. Like I said, I could have sworn the slow was a bigger number, but one of them was at one time. I could have sworn of that, but maybe I'm wrong. And that's how we follow it there. And we can do some research on that. Does that help you out? I hope it does. They're 47. You know, that's the I guess that's the best way of describing it at this point. Let's see. Here we go. Let's put this one in. That's 20. Okay, why not? And so now this one is the white wheat. I'm doing white wheat, not white wheat, red wheat. Red wheat. There we are. The spring red wheat and a soybean. And I'm sending this over to the robin and the corn. There we are. And here comes another one. And so that's the best way there. And I guess we were looking at Swiss, but we want to look at the yen now, right there, because that's what we have on the Chicago Quant. And here comes another one, Robin, if you're tuned in. And we've got 3 more to go now, so we're doing really well. Just 3 left. Make that an AM. There we are. There we are, large AM. How about that? There we go. And you can see here, now on this one, you can see the yen has been lifting up just like it did with the Chicago Quant. And so it's been through since there. And you can see here a lot of green. That's cool. This thing's functioning nicely. And you can see our weekly is dancing along this morning, trying to get into the buy there. So I hope that helped out. Excellent. 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 We're just waiting to see if 47. I guess 47 is probably filling in the data on his screen, trying to make sure that it does match up, which is that's the objective there. And remember, that's a daily chart too. Make sure you're not looking at a different time frame or a weekly or something like that. And so that's the other part of it, is that is a daily chart. Ooh, let's see now. This is pretty cool. So they do. I guess they do. They're following soy meal, soy beans, and soy oil. Wow, they're looking at the crush spread. That is so cool to do that with our math. I think that's so cool. That always makes me. It's like, I love it when people come up with new ideas for my work. I love it. I think it's fantastic. It makes me feel like I've got something functional. All right, we've got 2 more to come now, Robin. The new one and the last of the established ones. And then we're all done on the charts out there, everybody. Wow, that's all currencies too. This one's an all currency one. Cable. They're following the cable. They're following the Aussie New Zealand. Wow, that's something. Aussie New Zealand, where are you? Right there. They're following the Euro GBP. That's always an interesting one. That's been fascinating to watch throughout the years because of Brexit and all like that. And they're following the euro itself against the dollar. Let's throw that one into this email. And then the Canada. They're following the Canada. I think that's a nice combination of currency pairs. All right, so that's the yen. Anybody have anything? We can jump over to, say, oil. I see oil starting to lift up. I thought that was kind of a tip-off last week, too. I remember saying that, thinking that the action in oil was... let me put oil up there. We'll do it on J4X first. I thought that we started seeing some action in oil again on the upside. And they didn't take it down that far to begin with. Let's put it in there. Light sweet crude right there. And we're basically back to where we went into the weekly buy, I think, at this point. Oh, yeah, let's go here. Where's that? Right there. Robin Robo Combo. And right there. There it is right there. You can see now oil in our work. Couple days in a daily buy because it closed nicely there. So we just threw it in there. And what do we have it up on there? Let's just look on the spreadsheet there. There it is. Line 5. No. Don't want to upload anything. But I have to say that so it will go away. And I can go like that. So it has it as a 1, which it should be. It should be moved over. It should be moved over like that. Right there. So it closed on a buy on Friday. It's in a weekly buy. And we're driving ourselves back up to where we went into the weekly buy. And so you can see the crude oil is marching up. You can see here it did its little breakdown and been green for a couple days like us right there, which is really cool. And you can see the white line is cleanly through and making a dash up even further. So that is done nicely. Now, Robin, I'm going to the last one, which is the, where's it at? Let me find it. I know we're doing them all. There it is right there, new trailer. That's right. And let's make a copy of that, like so, for Kristen. Or Chinton. Chinton. Okay. We'll make a copy of that. Bang. And then we generate that. And we just make it number 23 AM. And we'll put that in and we'll have all the charts done. And we'll be happy there. And then I don't see any questions. 47, is that making sense for you? Are you looking at that, or you're probably analyzing it? Take your time, no problem. Just keep on analyzing it, and then and let us know how that looks. Okay, so there's NAS. There's crude. The new client is looking at crude, looking at natural gas. Excellent. It's a good combination, especially with the colder weather coming on. And it's been, let's take a look at that real quick. Just natural gas. Dukascopy has it. So we can look at that relatively easy. You can see that right there. We've been in a weekly buy way back in here in the end of July, and it's gone from $2.40 a cubic foot or less in between there, and you can see where it went into the daily buy, and it was in the daily buy for there, and it went back into it again, another move up, and every time it goes into sell it, the buys have been the really nice product of it all. This one just missed it because of the, did it really? Let's double check that. That's a minus, so we need to put a sell in there. Excuse me. Yeah, so that was a sell, like that. And then the next day again, it threw it into the buy right there to be long again. And it had that ride all the way up to there until here. And then now we're back into the saddle. Back in the saddle again. All right, and then you know what? I'm going to delete that. And now I'm going to save this again. Like that. There we are. And that's natural gas. Where are you, natural gas? You're around here somewhere. There it is. Natural gas. And let's see, what else is there? So, let's see, so I put natural gas back in there. And I'm waiting for 47 to say something, but that's all right. If you don't do it today, you'll do it tomorrow. You'll tell us how it's worked out or if it's not matching up. And that I'm glad you're that astute to pay attention to it. That's a very important thing when you're doing, every day, every trader should always just keep on back checking. Back check, back check, back check. Just don't stop. Always, and then trade for the day, and you paper trade in a sense when you're back testing. And so that's important. You need to do that. So looks like we're all good there. And did I do that right? I don't know if I did that right. So it's I. That's it right there. There we go. And so that's the new one, and out the door it goes. There we go. All right. Where are we now? Okay, we got plenty of time. Excellent. So that's crude oil. So you can see here, and that's natural gas. Let's get crude oil back in there again. And then maybe we'll do, what we should do? Let's do this. Let's go to J4X and look at the crude oil, the natural gas in there too. Where is natural gas? I think it's down. What is it? There's light. There's soybean oil. There's a natural gas one. Dukascopy has a natural gas contract. I've shown it to you before. Let's just show you their wares. Where's it at? It is in there. I know it is. Gas. There it is. Now I'm not sure if that's the gas. No, that looks right. That looks right. Yep. And so see, they've got the natural gas in there too. You can trade that through Dukascopy. For the traders that are using Dukascopy. And you can see we do it too. We pay attention to it here. We have, like I said, we've been in a weekly buy for this product. Where's that line? We don't really pay attention to it that closely when it comes to my spreadsheet, but if we get traders in here that actually care, we'll start putting the daily in there. That's no problem. I just put the weeklies. It's 8 weeks in a weekly buy. And you can see here, back in here, it went into the weekly buy. Back at the end of July. See, right there. You had a nice run out of it. And you can see the correction here. But we didn't go into a weekly sell, which was really interesting. Matter of fact, it barely could touch the time manifold. I remember mentioning it to you, before, where, it comes down. It was a nice sell, and the math picked up on the sell. relatively well right to there, I guess it was. So, off of this plateau, and you can see the nice little dive down, and now it's back into the buy again. It's been a hell of a nice spike back up again, right where it went into the sell. And we're in a weekly buy, so you could be long that since all the way back there. So, I mean, that's well worth paying attention to. And we're heading towards the winter months here in the Northern Hemisphere, so natural gas is definitely, something people are they're into. There's no doubt about that. Natural gas is important to keep people warm. So I guess that's the best way to describe it all in the end, is you can trust it. Now, also, it's supposedly, as they like to call it, a clean energy or renewable energy or something. They got some cute names for a lot of this stuff. It's always funny. Renewable energy. Okay. My cup is empty. Can you fill it back up again, please? Don't we have a renewable? That's what it sounds like to me. Or clean energy versus dirty energy. I guess it's so hard to say. What defines clean? I mean, I've seen the environmental movement call things clean that are not clean, renewable that are not renewable. So it's always very confusing on what that stuff means. But again, we do follow it, so you can watch it, and you can see it through Dukascopy there, and then you see it over on ours at the same time. Both nice bottoming in here. That was an interesting bottom. You see our work did the same thing, and you can see the week. Look at that, the way the weekly is doing. It's dancing a little bit there. This is turning into like an A, B, and a C on the downside. Maybe it's going to go after a sell in there. And where are we? Oh yeah, and you can see the daily's trying to roll over here too with ours. And you can see it here on J4X. This thing is spiked through the roof. And the purple line is starting to visit the dashed line, or the dotted line there. So there might be some short side opportunity. We might be moving slowly towards, what do you call it? A sell. I mean, it may be just actually doing that. So that's, like I said, it's well worth looking at. There we go. All right, I don't see any other questions. So without any other questions, we will drift to, where will we drift to? We'll go to gold. We'll go to the metals. There's gold right there. We did natural gas and crude oil. So that's cool. We're really touching on some interesting sectors. And there's gold. You can see it's lifting up. Not a lot in the J4X, but it looks like it was lifting up. And gold here, you can see we've got a couple green dots and a volatility one there. You can see it's lifting up. This is trying to come back up. It's not touching the time manifold yet, but it's also tightening up at the same time. So we'll see how that does. And you can see here, this is also hitting a very low bottom. And here, which we don't usually normally look at the bottoms per se, what we do is we look at the differences between the three different lines. So it's like that thing that Al Einstein used to say. He was this German. I think he was raised in the Italian side of Switzerland or something like that. And his name was Al Einstein. And he created this thing called relativity, where things are relative to. And so Al had this idea that you didn't look at per se where an object was as much as the relationship to it to other objects. In this case, he was talking about energy, and he was talking about gravity and because of mass and all that other stuff, So that Al Einstein, he was a pretty sharp guy. All right. We look at things the same way. We always look at things relative to each other instead of just the raw number itself. All right, where do we go from here? I guess we can take a look at silver. Anybody want to see what the silver's doing? We can see what that's doing. Silverado, right at the top there. You see a lot of green going on there. Let's put it on the J4X right there. Ooh, that's doing it. It's looking good. Looking good. And well, a lot of red there still, but we're trying to dig in. And you can see here we went into the buy on Friday, and we're lifting up. It's doing its thing. And you can see here on J4X, it's trying to lift up. It's trying to do its thing. But look at our look at our weeklies. Our weeklies are so far apart. In other words, it's the white line is below the time manifold on the negative side, and at the same time, not exactly lifting up. It's not like it's pointing in an up direction or something. And so what else do we say about that? I guess nothing more than that. It's trying to lift. We talked about this last week, how, that silver can really get knocked around. I mean, it dropped 27% from the highs, whereas gold dropped only like 10%. I mean, that's a real slam doodle. And I guess in some ways, if you're long silver, the poor man's gold, it's interesting to see, silver can take off at times. I mean, we've seen silver run up. What did the gold ran to? We saw silver go, it tripled almost in price from the lows of no more than 6 months ago, 5 months ago. Tripled. It tripled, not doubled. Whereas gold went from like, 1700 and something, 18 or 1600 and something. It ran to 21. Let's see, 10% would be 200 points. So that moved up 20%, Whereas silver tripled, went up 300, 200%, 200% to 20%. So silver can be fun at times, especially if I guess you're using the options. It is an interesting dichotomy. That silver, now they knocked silver down, fell from 30 to 22. I mean, wow. I mean, in comparison to gold, we'll go back to gold here for a second. Comparison to gold went down from, where is it at right there? It fell down from 2070 down to 1850 basically. So what's that, like 300 points, $300, and on a and percentage wise that was under 15%. And silver, it drops from $30 down to 22 and change. So it's like 27%. It is a wild animal. And boy, if you really want to try to hit a home run, that's the place to go do it, because when silver joins in with gold, boy, does it join in. It runs like a mad animal. It ran from $11 and change, $11.71 to $30, almost over 200% move. Zoom. And matter of fact, Robin and I wrote an article about that, saying, we know this thing's taken off. It was at $13 and $14. We were like, this selling down to $11.71 was, totally panicked to the point where you had to assume that shorts had been trapped. I mean, that's what it really came down to. We just automatically had to assume that their shorts were trapped, because, I mean, you see silver going flying down to $11.71, something like it was like a 9-year low or something like that, and then, gold is not even remotely close to its 9-year low. It's like 50% higher than its 9-year low. So you just had to assume that the metals market had shorts trapped, and we wrote that article, and sure enough, we were looking for the mid-20s. This thing ran to, I was thinking 26 or 27. The thing ran to 30, and you have to wonder, with it falling down to 23, or is it 22? Let's go back to. I think we have it at areas. So we have. You see it there on J4X right now. It's 23.34, and it's up, right? I mean, it's up. So, and we'll just show it to you. It's a little bit more visible the way, because we're using those Hinky-Ashke lagging indicators as our dots. And so let's just put it up on there, and you can see right here, they took it down to 22.05. Yeah. Almost $22 from $30. Right? Again, $8 drop. So you just have to assume again that somehow or another that is not going to hold. In other words, they're going to take it up again. They're not. That selling is not going to hold. Now we have the London arbitrage that seems to have a great effect, and that London arbitrage between London and New York will be coming to some type of fruition in the first couple of weeks of December. So we have October and November to go through. We got a long way to go, but we just have to believe that by the time you get to December, things should be higher. That's what we're figuring, and we'll see if they bust into the 30s. And in other words, shorts that sold down at 22, 23, 24, and 25 are going like, oh yeah, we're making money. Should I sell more? I don't think so. But, I mean, maybe, we're in a weekly sell, in a daily sell, and, it's moving down. In this case here today, you can see our work is telling you it's in a daily buy at the moment. So it'll be a tough one. It'll be a tough one for the arbitrageurs playing against London and New York. So we'll see how that goes. All right. I guess that's about it for us here. This is Confession Monday, end of the new year. And we will catch you all tomorrow next year. Tomorrow's next year. So everybody have a safe and smart trading day. And I am going to go off to the old synagogue and do a little chanting and so forth. And we will catch you all later. So this is Doc from North America saying arrivederci. Happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be like next year. And that will be tomorrow. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Yippee-yi.